Welcome to podcast episode number 548 of Get Paid for Your Pad. Today I have two guests, not one, but two guests on the show. They are both from Spain. This is going to be a very Spain-focused episode. We have Juan Betancor. Welcome, Juan. And we have Juanjo Bande. So,
hello.
Two very special guests.
Hello.
And what's up, guys? We're going to be sharing your stories. We're going to talk a little bit about Spain and why Spain is such an amazing country. I lived there for 2 years. Juan is also a Legends X graduate. He's currently in Panama. Actually, we met up a couple of weeks ago as he's surfing on the beach. And Juanjo is an architect. He's a short-term rental. He also has his own short-term rental YouTube channel as well. So he's definitely a specialist. And if you're Spanish speaking, I know a lot of people that listen to Get Paid for Your Pad are English and Spanish speaking. So if you want to listen to some short-term rental talk in Spanish, then Juanjo Bande is the man to follow. So awesome. Well, let's do a quick introduction. Juanjo, why don't we start with you? Give us a quick introduction. Where you're from? What do you do in the short-term rental space?
Thank you, Jasper. You're very kind for that great introduction. I'm from northwestern Spain, and I've been doing short-term rentals for quite a while now. I started as a user of short-term rental traveler, using Holidays, one brand of the VRBO umbrella, maybe 10 years ago. And then we had a couple of properties that really fitted the short-term rental needs. And then with my family, we started renting them out around 2014. And then Holidays and BRBO made us some changes about reviews to guests from hosts. So that's why we decided to change from BRBO to Airbnb. And we started our Airbnb journey. And I started to dig into the data and all the world around this and started analyzing investments around this space. And then I decided to start a YouTube channel talking about that. At the beginning, it was maybe analytics and data from the space. And then it evolved into talking with the people in the space, just putting a human face on the people behind the technology that is all around the STR business in Spanish-speaking world. And there we are, just trying to, and mostly trying to walk in your steps, because I still remember when I started how I enjoyed listening to Get Paid for Your Pad and how it helped us and feeling connected to people doing the same kind of stuff in other parts of the world. So thank you, Jasper, for doing what you do, for doing Get Paid for Your Pad. It's a complete honor for me to be here. It's amazing. And really thank you, Jasper, for helping a lot of us not feeling so alone in our personal and business travels.
Appreciate that, man. And you know what's cool to mention as well is that you have your own YouTube channel and you do a short-term rental chat. It's called, right, where you, as you mentioned, you interview people from the space. And I was actually a guest on your show just a week ago, and that was my first podcast in Spanish. So.
That was great. I really appreciate that, Jasper. It was really great for me to have your first Spanish-speaking interview. It was great. It's doing great on YouTube. You can check that out on my channel, Juanjo Bande, and you can go there and see how Jasper does speak Spanish.
Yeah, I have to say I was a little nervous for that one, but it turned out pretty well. My wife's Spanish-speaking, and she told me that she was proud of me. So.
Oh, it was great, and Jasper. I think it's absolutely great. I think we loved it. Absolutely. Of course, it's not a perfect Spanish, but it's mostly really great.
Tell us a little bit more about what you do in the space with your projects, because you're an architect, right?
Yes, I'm involved in developing projects about the STR world, maybe. Some of them may be tourist-like projects, and another oriented to the tourism world, another ones oriented to the most residential-like area, maybe like a kind of a co-living and that kind of stuff, more like mid-stays. And that's one part of what I do, and also do create content on YouTube about this. And this is the main part of my business. And I also manage a couple of chats of professional people living in Spain or in the Spanish-speaking world, which are professionally developing themselves in the short-term rental world. I think there's a need for quality content on the short-term rental space in Spanish, because we do not have so many as in the English-speaking world.
Right. Yeah, that's something that that you and Juan as well have mentioned to me, is that it's very hard to find education and content in Spanish, which is kind of interesting because, I mean, Spanish is like the second or the third language in the world?
Well, I think that happens because a lot of Spanish-speaking people also speak English, and when they need to do some things, they use just the content in English. But also some other part of the world or other part of the people gets left on the sides because they do not speak English. No? So I feel it will be nice to have more content in Spanish.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Juan, let's go to you. Tell us about your business and what you're currently up to.
Well, first of all, I have to say it means a lot for me being right now here in front of you both. Jasper, you, because your podcast has been the first one that I have ever listened to back in 2015, I guess. Listening to your podcast meant to me that, oh, wow, there are more people in this industry. It's not me alone. There are other people dedicating their time to what I do. And even more, there are appearing some technology that comes to help us on a daily routine. Wow, amazing. Because until that time, I was doing everything alone, very manual. And I was like, wow, is there someone else doing what I'm doing here? I felt quite alone, right? But your podcast opened me like the window to another world. Okay, there are some people doing it abroad, not in Spain, because you were only interviewing non-Spanish spoken people and from abroad. But well, at that moment, was enough for me. And then Juanjo, what you are doing is amazing. Your Spanish spoken community is growing so fast. The interesting people that are coming inside your WhatsApp groups, your Facebook groups, all the valuable information in Spanish that is being exchanged daily. It's amazing. I'm learning a lot from your community as well. So thank you, Juanjo, for what you are doing.
My pleasure.
And so about me, well, I started in 2010, Jasper. I could be very, I could take a lot of time to explain my history. I will try to be as short as possible. Okay. So yeah, I was born and raised in Las Canteras Beach. This is the main beach of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands, in Spain. And here I grew up, in Las Canteras Beach, and my grandparents had a building of holiday homes at that time. Basically, they used always a property manager. It was not them managing it directly. So basically, I grew up mainly listening to my family complaining about the property manager what was doing. But well, that was it. And then when I was 17 years old, I moved to Madrid for university students. Then I worked and studied more abroad. I spent 12 years abroad in 6 different countries. Well, that experience, in that period of time, I stayed in every kind of accommodation, university students, shared flats, short-term rentals. I even did a lot of surf coaching. So when I came back into the Canary Islands in 2010, what I realized, it was like a lot of beachfront properties in Las Canteras Beach were most of the time empty. They were only being used by their owners for like 1-2 months per year, and the rest of the time they were empty. And I had a very close example on my aunt. My aunt was one of this one. So I offered her to help her to get in extra incomes. On all these months, she was not using that. And she accepted. I started with her using a few of the websites that I used before to search for new flats when I was living abroad. And yes, things started to be very good, successfully from the beginning. Suddenly, neighbors came to me, parents of friends came to me and offered me also their homes. And wow, yes, let's do that. I was all the time having a 9 to 5 job from Monday to Friday, nothing related to short-term rentals, okay? Because there was no regulation to do that. So I was not sure if what I was doing was legally or not, so I wanted to keep my job anyway. In 2015, I was growing quite fast, and fortunately in 2015, Canadian government published the holiday homes law, the Decreto de Viviendas Vacacionales. So I decided to quit my job and dedicated 100% to my brand, to Living Las Canteras, and I legalized all the holiday homes I was renting, I was managing, and then still other ones came more. Yes, so from that time, I just searched for professionalism and community. I attended to a lot of summits, listened to a lot of podcasts, received a lot of newsletters. I did a lot of online courses. I was I looked for new associations to be a member. So since I took the decision of dedicating 100% of today's industry, at the same time, I said, okay, let's do it, but let's do it good, with a lot of professionalism, because this will be the job of my life. So I wanted to do very, very, very good. So I had also the offer to be managing many other properties. I'm managing right now 28. I could be managing much more than this, but I wanted to stay clear on my mission, which is helping individual private owners of second homes, beachfront in Las Canteras, that they enjoy it 1-2 months per year. So I help them to get extra incomes for the period of time they don't use it. So for this reason, I am not managing, I get offers very easily for buildings, large investors, companies, hotels that want to be in the short-term rentals, managing buildings. No, that's my mission, is helping individual owners, and I want to stay clear there.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about your business, that you're so clear on who you're serving, right? You're so clear on the type of properties that you want. It's one beach, it's beachfront, it's the individual owner, and you have a very clear vision of your guests as well, right? So tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing, because I know you're here in Panama, you're surfing. How are you able to be on the beach in Panama while you have 28 units back in Spain?
Well, it has been a long way. So since I started back in 2010, I have go through many different processes. I was doing manual most of the things for many years. And as I told before, since I started to be a member of a lot of associations, attending summits, get online courses, I got tools and learnings about how to start delegating and automating processes, so I could be working remotely. This is one of the main benefits of this industry. Now there are coming a lot of new tools that allow us to work remotely, but be careful. This is not something you can do in one day. It takes a long time. So one of the main things that I did to achieve this is the Legends X program you mentioned before. Yes, I am an Legends X student. I did it in the last quarter 2021. And wow, I learned a lot from you. You were my coach, Jasper, and thank you again. You gave me a lot of tools, and good tips about how to do that, how to identify what you are doing in daily work. So from what you do, daily tasks, which one of them are not useful anymore, then you suddenly find out that you are doing a lot of things that are not giving value to your business. And then you also can realize that many of the tasks you do daily can be delegated on other people. If so, how to find that correct people to do that? How to train them to do that? And at the end, which of the tasks you do daily are not delegated, so you still need to do that. That's one thing I learned a lot from the Legends X programs, and the other thing was the tools, a lot of automations that I could have done even from before doing the course, and I realized because I did the program. Automation. But moreover, what I learned from Legends X is the mindset. You changed my mindset. So now every time I do a daily task for my business, it's not that, okay, let's solve this now. No, it's let's solve it now, but if it happens again in the future, how that can be solved without me being involved. You changed my mindset because I was not, I was just like we say in Spanish, ending fires every day, you know. It's like putting water on the fire and just, okay, another task. It's not like that anymore. It's just thinking the future, prevent this not to happen, and if so, how it can be solved automatically.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's great to hear. And I remember when you joined the program, like we call the host that you were, we have a name for that. We call that the hectic host. And I think you kind of really identify with that, just kind of running around, like, you know, putting out fires every day. And then now you're surfing on the beach in Panama. So it's pretty amazing to see that. Juanjo, I want to go to you. Like, you're an architect, right? Mm. And I would love to hear from you. Like, you've been in this space for 10 years. I would love to understand your perspective on how have you seen the industry change, and from your perspective, from a design perspective, like what does it take in 2023 to be successful as a host?
Well, I think this industry started with pre-existing buildings mostly. We started using what there was built. I've heard you say you started renting your home, and that is the way most of us started, renting homes that were already built. I think the future of the space has a lot of purpose-built buildings on the future. I think that is going to be much more common in the future, and although it's not the main bulk of the market is are purpose-built buildings, I think that is going to be more frequent in the future. And purpose-built buildings for our space need to be kind of different because they are unique. They are somewhere between the permanent housing and hotel like structures. You do not need as many private spaces in a permanent home, but you also do not need as much common spaces as in traditional hotels or resorts. That is somewhere where there is a lot of opportunity and there's a lot of research to be done. What is your community? What is your potential target want? We are trying to develop a business, most of us targeting on one special kind of guest, but with the buildings we had before. What if we could design buildings for our special guests? What if we could define that niche, but including the building design in that project? I think that is a great opportunity for a lot of people, and a lot of professionals that do really know their guests, that do really know what they like, are in a unique position to create and develop building projects that attend to those specific needs, that maybe don't do things which are mostly needed for permanent housing, and do other things that are needed for people that are doing short-term rentals, maybe for a different time than permanent residents. No, I think there are a lot of great opportunities in that space. Opportunities not only for us, for the space or our business, but also for society, which is starting to use buildings and houses in other more efficient way. As Juan said before, there was a lot of a lot of great houses in Playa de las Canteras that were only used a couple of weeks a year, and now they're used all year round thanks to the work of Juan and other people like Juan. That is a huge increase in efficiency and how we use housing. That is what it is in the future, increasing the efficiency of the houses we have and of the houses we build. For tourism purposes and for work purposes, we are starting to see trends in companies that do kind of remote working or workation, or maybe three of us are developing a project and each one of us is in a corner of the world, but we meet for a week just to put ideas together. This is getting more common every day. And in those areas, I think there are a lot of opportunities for us, for the space, and also for the society, increasing the efficiency on how we use buildings.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was attracted to the sharing economy. Back when I started with Airbnb in 2011, that was a very new concept. But I remember thinking, it's like, you know, we have limited resources and we need to use our resources as efficiently as possible, right? And the housing is one thing where, you know, if you go on a holiday, your house is empty, right? Somebody might as well use it. Or if you have
Absolutely.
a spare room, right? Like you might as well use that space. But also, like, I remember thinking about cars, right? Like I read a stat that the average car spends 90% of its life being parked and not being used, right? And now you have platforms that increase the efficiency of cars, right? With Turo, I think when I was living in Spain, I was using, I can't remember the name now, but there was a Spanish service for that I was
BlaBlaCar.
using. No, it wasn't
BlaBlaCar.
BlaBlaCar. It was another one.
Oh.
I can't remember, but I was using it all the time, right? Instead of renting a car, I just go on the platform and just use somebody else's car instead of renting a car, right? There was a platform at some point, I don't know if it still exists, but they were doing car sharing for cars that are parked at the airport. So you go on a holiday for 3 weeks, you park your car at the airport, you come back, and then you get like, you know, $600 because somebody's been using your car for a couple of weeks, right? I thought that was awesome. So I love what you're saying. I think especially the midterm stays, like the co-living, the digital nomads. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I've stayed at some of those places, and yeah, it's no longer black and white, right? Where it's like
Absolutely.
long term or you stay for a couple of days. Now there's like so much in between, which is really exciting. Juan, let's go to you because this is relevant to you as well. I know you're doing something really cool and unique in the Canary Islands, where you're targeting digital nomads, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, mainly since the pandemic. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about those units.
Before the pandemic, I was targeting mainly, family travels to the Canary Islands, couples, family with children, 7 days average stay. And I used to rent like 5-10% to digital nomads. It was already quite a thing, even before the pandemic, the Canary Islands, especially the city of Las Palmas. But since the pandemic, it has increased a lot. We are now getting much more popular. We are always in the first 10 positions of the Nomad List ranking. Nomadlist.com is a website that every digital nomad knows. It helps a lot to define what could be a next destination according to different filters or your profile. So what I decided to do, since I started to receive a lot of inquiries from digital nomads in 2020, I spoke to the owners and I told them, hey, we need to do a little bit of investment here. What if I put a workstation in each of our apartments? Let's buy beach office desk, office chair, a lamp, and even a computer screen. Because I was even receiving inquiries. Do you offer computer screen? Do you offer computer screen? The first time I said, wow, how is people asking for a computer screen in a holiday rental? No, of course I don't have a computer screen, but after 10 times receiving that inquiry, that means something. We need to take an action here. It's a lot of people asking for this. Why do you not investing in a computer screen that costs 100, 110 euros? And you gave a solution many others don't do. You only pay for that once, and then it will be always in your apartment. So luckily for me, most of the owners said yes from the first second. I I built a workstation in each of my apartments. I called the professional photographer, took the picture, uploading them, and it was a success. Well, I also did another adjustments like applying later stay discounts. For example, in my guidebook, I added where are also co-workings, where are Facebook co-working, digital nomads community, all that valuable information they need. So yeah, in 2020, in fact, 2020, which was the worst of the pandemic, my occupancy was still high because I received a lot of digital nomads since August 2020. And also, yeah, well, in 2021, I received an offer to manage 4 cave houses in Artenara. Artenara is the highest village of the island of Gran Canaria. It's a beautiful village surrounded by amazing hiking trails. Well, at the beginning I said, wow, cave houses, not in Las Canteras Beach, but what if I put a workstation on each of them? Because many of my guests in Las Canteras are also from time to time asking me if I know places where they can rent also in the mountains. They want to do hikings. So I said it was a great opportunity. I said yes to the owner. We put a workstation in each cave house. I gave a lot of good information about hikings they can do during their stay. Wow, it's working so well, and I love the profile of guests that are staying with us in living Artenara. The average stay there is 7 nights, 8 nights. The previous property manager that was there, the average stay was 2 nights. Was people just going for the weekends from the city, and now it's still happening, but that's just a bit. The main target are digital nomads, 7 days.
I love that, and I've actually been to your island, Canary. It's called Gran Canaria.
Gran Canaria.
Gran Canaria. Because I was living in Barcelona, and during this was during COVID, and I went to hike on that mountain that you. It's a volcano, right, in the middle of the island.
That's right.
Yeah, so like it was interesting because like, you know how we couldn't travel, right? So and I was living in Barcelona. I was like, hey, Canary Islands, that's Spain, right? So that's a local flight, and local flights were still available, but not international flights. So I was like, all right, let's go to the Canary Islands, and so I remember it very well. It was beautiful, absolutely amazing. I would love to stay in one of those cave houses. That sounds absolutely incredible. Yeah.
You are welcome anytime, Jasper. It would be such an honor hosting you.
Juanjo, I want to go back to you. Like, you know, you've been in the space for a long time. You're architect. You're doing these projects, but you're also a host. What is one piece of advice that you would have for somebody who wants to get started in the short-term rental space this year?
I think I would say 2 things. One thing, do not rely on non-friendly authorities. For instance, and there are places where the local authorities are friendly to STR buildings. Juan was telling before that a great start to his business was when the local government put into law the basic regulations for short-term rentals, and you should focus your energy and your business in areas where the local authorities are working with you, not against you. And it's very fine to do advocacy for ours for our business, but you shouldn't rely on areas where the regulations are not clear. And the other thing I will say is always keep an eye on the property market, because maybe you consider that yourself are not a people in real estate, but your clients are. If you're managing property for your owners, they are in the real estate world. They have their property. Maybe they're planning to buy another one, sell this one. You should always keep an eye on the property market, because short-term rentals and traditional real estate are very different things, but are linked. And I think you should always keep an eye on the real estate world, because it's very important for your partners, co-own partners, which are the owners of the apartments most people manage. I think that's very important.
That's that's really good advice. Juan, same question to you, or let me say it different. Let me ask you different, actually. What's one thing that you would have done differently if you were to start over with your business?
It's regarding the business model, I would say. At the beginning, I spent many years me charging the guests, me receiving the money from the guests or the OTAs, and then me paying the owners. Suddenly, I saw that I was receiving a lot of money that wasn't mine. I saw my bank account with a large amount, and wow, that doesn't make sense. Me receiving that amount of money. Let's better owners charge it. I think it is the smoothest. Since I did that, everything well even better. So from that time, I got the feeling that the owners feel much more part of the business. They agree with me on in reinvesting in the property easier. Because they are receiving money from much more often now. So that's a good advantage that I saw since I did that change. And when I do coachings also, I also tell about this. They applied that and they always tell me the same. So that would also be a piece of advice for someone starting in this business. And still speaking about owners, make sure who do you want to work with. The owner will be a partner of you, so it's important you are both on the same page. We usually speak about our guests, and we don't speak too much about our owners, but they are as important as the guests. Even more, speaking about relationship, it will be a long-term direct relationship. So you please make sure you are in the same page. They meet your core values. The core values you put in your business is important. The owners meet them. They need to. For me, for example, it's very important. They should show be part of a partnership. They should be collaborative. They should know they won't make money from the second zero. They need to wait. They are a new business that opened the door. They need to wait a bit. They need to be patient. You need to look also in the mid and long term, and don't think just I want to make the most from every single reservation. No, it doesn't work like that. You sometimes need to deny getting a profit from a reservation if it is going to give you profitability in the medium and long term. They need to understand this. For example, in my case, this is very important. So when I always meet a new owner to manage the new property, I always be very, very clear on that and make sure they understand me. And they can have the best of the properties, but if I see we are not equal on these kind of decisions, I say no. I prefer saying no. I already had the problem at the beginning, so that I don't want to have this anymore. But
the power of saying no. It's a skill set that's hard to develop. I feel like it's something that everybody kind of struggles with in their life is saying no to shiny objects or In general, just saying no, it's hard, right?
It's a great power to say no.
Yeah, there's a lot of power in saying no.
No.
Awesome, guys. Well, it's been a true pleasure to have my Spanish friends, my amigos. Spain is a country that I love very much. I lived there for 2 years, and I'll share a couple of reasons for. Look, most of the people listening are probably in the U.S. or in Canada. I'm gonna share a couple of reasons why you might want to visit Spain in a minute here. But before I do that, guys, let the listeners know how they can find you. Juan, why don't you share? If people want to, learn more about your business or visit your beautiful island in the Canary Islands, like where can they find you?
Well, if you are considering having a great workcation, I guess I have a good solution for you. So you might visit Canary Islands. I'm having Americans, Canadians as guests mainly since 2018. It was the time I started receiving them. How to find me? I have two websites, one for each of my projects. For the one in Las Canteras Beach is www.livinglascanteras.com. For the one in the mountains is www.livingartenara.com. And then I have, of course, Instagram and Facebook for each of them. So yeah, welcome anytime.
Living Las Canteras. We'll put a link up in the show notes at Get Paid from the Path for the people who are not 100% sure how to spell that. Juanjo, tell us where can people find your YouTube channel and anything else you're doing?
Absolutely. If you want to watch the videos I create on YouTube, the best is you look for my name, Juanjo Bande, as it's displayed on the show notes. You look on YouTube for Juanjo Bande, and there you find what I do, and maybe you can also meet a great part of the Spanish-speaking community in the STR, mostly from Spain, but also from other places of the Spanish-speaking world. And that's where my main place, the YouTube channel.
Awesome. Juanjo Bande is what you want to search for on YouTube. It's Juanjo.
Yes.
That's right.
Banda.
Awesome. Banda, Bande, yes. And then, just to close out this podcast, as I mentioned, I've lived in Barcelona for 2 years, and I absolutely love Spain. I think it's one of the best places in the world to live. And I want to share one thing that completely blew my mind when I was living in Spain. I used to cycle a lot, and we would stop in these little villages to have lunch. And one of the first times, like we ordered a 3-course meal, and I think it was like €10, which blew my mind how affordable it was. But then the waiter put a big jar of wine on the table, and we were cycling, right? So I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to drink wine, but like, so I was like, I don't know how much they're going to charge us for this, right? So I asked, and then to my surprise, the wine was included in my €10 3-course meal. And I was just like, oh my God, this is just too good to be true here.
Well, it's common for places that do that, the menú del día, to have the wine included in Spain. Maybe a little bit more expensive right now than those €10, maybe 12 or 13, but you will still find places that do 3 courses meal, menú del día, for maybe 12 or 13 bucks. Yes.
Yeah, especially in little villages.
Yeah.
More often than in big cities.
That's right.
We are a wine country.
and the wine is good.
Yeah.
It's so good, and it's so affordable. Man, I miss it. Wine's very expensive here in Panama, so every time I buy a bottle in the supermarket here, I think back with nostalgia about my years in Spain. So
come back, Jasper. Come back.
I will.
Vuelve.
One day I'll be back for sure. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Juan and Juanjo. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And to the listeners, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Hope you're inspired to maybe one day travel to Spain and maybe stay at one of Juan's cave houses on the Volcano, Canary Islands. Artenara. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you
Bye-bye.
Friday.
Thank you.